We are now in Bukit KAYU Hitam, Kedah. This is the Bukit KAYU Hitam border control. Beyond this border control lies the country of Thailand, and behind us would be Jitra and ALOR, Kedah. It was on this very same road the Japanese Army 5th Division, led by Lieutenant Colonel Saki Shizo, with 2 Type 95 light tanks and 10 Type 97 medium tanks, went down this very same road towards Jitra and onwards towards ALOR, Kedah. This will set the stage for the Battle of Jitra.
Behind me is the Bukit KAYU Hitam immigration checkpoint, and behind that is the Thai border. It is through this very road, on the 10th of December 1941, the Imperial Japanese Army 5th Division, led by Colonel Seki, gone down this very road and down towards Changlun, and then Jitra, eventually Pulau Pinang, and then Ipoh, and Kampar, Slim River, Kuala Lumpur, Muar, Johor Bahru, and eventually Fortress Singapore itself. The Japanese Army, at least for the 5th Division of the Imperial Japanese Army, this is where their journey into Malaya began. They would have crossed here on the 10th of December 1941, gone down this very road, this very same road, and then they will meet their first opposition at Changlun, where at that time it was held by the 11th Division together with the 15th Infantry Division, and after that at Jitra they would meet stiff opposition by the 1st Battalion of the Leicester Regiment, where over there they would fought four position over Jitra. So this spot is exactly where I would say the Japanese Army began their entry into Malaya, at least for the 5th Division of the Imperial Japanese Army and on the northern side. Because as you all know, there were other invasion points at Kota Bharu as well.
This is how the road looks like now, and thanks to my dear friend Lin Chia, we have managed to find some clips that shows how the road was like back then. This is how it looks back then. Granted that the video you saw just now was probably a road that is nearer towards Muar and Bakri Johor, but it is about the same, the structure of the roads in British Malaya back then. And how the rubber tree looks like remains unchanged 80 years after the war.
We are at the bridge on the outskirts of Jitra. Beside me is a river. That's the bridge that links to Jitra. On that side is Jitra and ALOR. Behind me is the Thai border, the Bukit KAYU Hitam, Changlun, Asun, where we went to just now. So the Imperial Japanese Army, the 5th Division of the Imperial Japanese Army, would have to go down this road, this particular road, all the way here, and they would have to go across this particular bridge. In my understanding, this is a key choke point for the British, a key defensive choke point for the British, and I believe a battle would have taken place here, fighting over this particular bridge. I believe this is where battle would have happened between the 5th Imperial Japanese Army by Colonel Seki and his tanks, and also with the 1st Leicester Regiment, as well as the 11th Indian Division. As you can see, the river is quite deep. It is in the month of December, it's raining. When the battle happened, it was raining heavier than this. And if you can see the bridge there, the height of the water almost reaches to the bridge level. I think you have about, at best, 1.5 meters or 2 meters more before the water reaches the bridge. So in the month of December, during the monsoon, this is how the river would have looked like. Yeah, the river level is quite high, almost reaches the bridge, and the bridge is not wide. It's about 4 meters across. This is the new bridge, but the location and the design is about the same. So they would have all of Colonel Seki tanks would have to go through this particular bridge in order to reach Jitra, and they would have fought over this particular choke point heavily. 80 years on, it still looks pretty much the same.
This is the Bokken of Jitra. Straight in front of us is a road that leads straight directly towards Bukit KAYU Hitam in Thailand, which we just saw just now. And turning to our right would have been the road directly inside to Bokken Jitra and onwards towards ALOR Kedah. This would have been the bridge that the Japanese and the British fought for control in order to ensure who gets the upper hand in the Battle of Malaya. Because, as you can see from this video, there is a river that encircles the whole Jitra Town, and there's not a lot of ways to access into Jitra Town and ALOR and onwards towards Butterworth and Ipoh if this chokehold is not secured. Therefore, it was of vital importance that this bridge is conquered or taken by the Japanese, and it is very important for the British Army that this bridge is held as long as possible. As you can see in front of you, that is the Jitra Town, and if this bridge fell, then the whole Jitra Town would have been accessible to the Japanese Army. As you can see to your right, the river encircles the whole town itself. The whole problem with the defense in Jitra by the British Army was that it was defended too wide, and there was not enough resources to man such a wide area of defense. This, I believe, caused a swift fall of the British Army. And I quote Stanley L. Falk book 70 Days to Singapore. Few elements along this line had actual physical contact with any other unit, and outpost detachment placed well forward were completely out of touch. Several batteries of artillery provided support, and the 28th Brigade 3rd Corps Reserve, released to Murray Leon when Matador was called off, was in reserve below Jitra. This wide dispersal, the fact that the ground was to be defended was broken by countless streams, bogs, and paddy fields, and the effect of the heavy rain on communication, all combined to frustrate mobility and mutual support within the divisions. Few units were capable of assisting any other. Some could barely keep in touch over the signal net. During the morning of December 12, the fighting at Jitra was confused, bloody, and indecisive. Towards the end of the action, the commander of the exposed jet company telephoned to say that he was almost out of ammunition and that many weapons were becoming clogged with mud. "The men cannot fire, sir," he told the battalion commander. "I can't give you permission to withdraw," was the reply. "Okay, sir, we will fight it out with grenades and bayonets. The men are splendid. I reckon we have got about 5 minutes left. Good luck to you." What a British stiff upper lip reply it was. I humbly salute to the bravery of this jet company who were from the British Empire Regiment Army in India, who accepted their fate and fought on without fear in front of the Japanese army.
Behind me is one of the last few surviving British pillbox that was built to guard Jitra from the Japanese invasion. It's in the middle of the paddy field. The Jitra road is further up there. The whole fortification line was, I believe, was about 14 miles across, and it was built to cover a wide expanse of land, and it was never enough. There was not enough time, there was not enough manpower, there was not enough resources to properly defend the Jitra line. As you can see, the design of this pillbox is quite similar to the ones that we saw in Kuala Pak Amat and in Pantai Bachok in Kelantan. It's a similar design with shooting ports all around and staggered entrances where you just don't come in. It's just you have to go in and take a left turn and take a right turn, so that it provides a sort of defensive position there as well, which I noticed is quite the same with the entrance into the A Famosa Gate in Malacca. That was built way back when, during the Portuguese time. But it's good to see that even such design has its practicality during the Portuguese time, and it's still being used by the British to this very date during World War II. I don't think this pillbox was involved in any fighting. I don't see any bullet holes, and I believe the fighting happened further up down the road towards the main trunk road connecting Jitra to Alostar, because the airfield is that way. The main objective of the 5th Division, led by Colonel Seki, is to capture the airfield, which is further up that way. And they were coming from the Thai border all the way here in Jitra, with the objective to capture the airport, which is about 5 kilometers down this road. So this fortification was built definitely to protect the airport, because in British calculation, if the airport fell, then it will provide as a good ground, a staging ground for the Japanese to attack further down south, such as Kuala Lumpur, Johor, and even Singapore.
Okay, now we're going to explore the pillbox that is located at Jitra. The design and structure is rather similar to the one found in Kuala Pak Amat Beach, Kelantan, and also in Bachok, Kelantan. A friend of mine showed to me the design in Pulau Pinang. It was a bit different. I don't know why some pillbox are different. I assume it's got to be due to space constraint.
Full of water.
I'm happy that this pillbox still stands even after 80 years. I'm a bit sad that I don't think there's any care have been taken by the government to preserve this, and I'm quite thankful that the Padi farmers, the landowners, have not removed this pillbox. I hope it remains that way. So 80 years on, this lone pillbox stands as a reminder of the Battle of Jitra that had happened 80 years ago. The Battle of Jitra was important to the Japanese because previously the skirmishes at Kampong Asun and Changlun had not given the Japanese the confidence that they could take on the British. But when they had won the Battle of Jitra, then they realized that they could win British Malaya, and that they could achieve their objective in reaching Singapore by the end of December 1941. According to Stanley L. Falk, the British defeat at Jitra was a costly one, all the more so because the Japanese had accomplished it with so small a force. An aggressive assault had proved too much for Murray Leon's extended defences and inexperienced troops. Seki's command, a reconnaissance detachment supported by artillery, engineers and light and medium tanks, the whole force numbering roughly 600 men, had done most of the damage, with a single battalion of infantry joining in at the end. Together they reduced the 15th Brigade from about 2,400 men to just 600, inflicted serious losses on the 6th Brigade, and destroyed the equivalent of a whole battalion of the 28th. They captured great quantities of weapons, vehicles, and communication equipment, together with more than 1,000 prisoners. The price for winning the Battle of Jitra is that the Japanese had captured the ALOR airfield with its fuel and bombs intact. This concludes the Battle of Jitra.